murakoze nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, nitwa scovia Mutesi, ndi umwanditsi w'ikinyamakuru Mama urwa Gasabo.
I see you every day on the media, social media. On the social media, yeah.
Yeah. Murakoze, ikibazo cyanjye nashakaga kubaza, usobanuye byinshi bigaragara inzira yari ikomeye, ariko nagize ikibazo nifuza kubaza, ese
nta kindi cyizere, nta kintu cyari gihari cyaha umuntu uwo ari we wese. Yewe n'abatsinzwe banza batari bazi ko bazatsindwa, babaga bazi ko ni leta, bafite ibyangombwa byose, bumvaga bari aho. Twebwe bitaga inyenzi, bazatunyura hejuru gusa bakagenda. Natwe kubera aho twavaga nuko twari tumeze n'ubushobozi butari buhagije, barabikoraga ariko nta garanti, nta kintu cyakwemezaga ngo ibyo urwanira uzabigeraho, ariko wagomba kurwana nenewe kuko nicyo wahisemo kandi niyo inzira yari imbere yawe warebaga wakoresha gusa. So ntazagira ukubeshya ngo ibyo twita intsinzi ngo barayirebaga.
Mwaramutse neza nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, amazina yanjye ni Yusuf Ntwari, nkaba nishimiye kuba umusangiza w'amagambo muri iki kiganiro. Nyakubahwa, murakoze kuba mwaduhaye umwanya wo kutuganiriza kuri uyu munsi, aho twateraniye aha ku Murindi habereye amateka akomeye ya RPA na RPF. Tukaba twaje turi urubyiruko, twese cyangwa se benshi muri twebwe dukoresha imbuga nkoranyambaga nk'umwuga cyangwa se mu kwamamaza ibikorwa bigiye bitandukanye dukora. Tukaba tunazi yuko social media ikibazo cya mbere nakibaza nkoresheje ururimi rw'icyongereza. 30 years ago, you were exactly here. 36 years old, probably younger than a few people in this audience, maybe not me, but a few people here. Outnumbered significantly, facing a reality that hundreds of thousands of people's lives, including some of your relatives, were at stake. Mr. President, take us back a little bit. We want to understand, what was your state of mind in that specific moment when you gave the order that started the campaign to fight against the genocide against the Tutsis? Thank you.
First of all, let me thank you for this moment. Much as going back in time sometimes is very difficult. At least on my part, I wish I could forget completely some of those things or days, but anyway, that is life. So what you've just said is very true. We're here. We have now recollected of the picture of literally have a map of this place fixed somewhere in my mind. It can't go away. More so, what can't go away is what was happening in our country and what was facing us and we had to deal with. You know, I speak from my understanding. When you are faced with a situation like that was at the time, there are few things that come to your mind, and there are few choices. Either you face what it is, however difficult it is, and invest everything in you to deal with that, or you break down and run away. There is really nothing in between. Either you do something and or don't do it, and the consequences either way are very obvious. But at that time, sometimes it is not obvious. You only come to think about it later. So from the beginning, when the struggle started, we understood the magnitude, the weight we have to carry in doing what we are trying to do and achieving what we had in mind. We never underestimated, but it turned out to be even much bigger, much more complicated than anyone could have thought. But still, we were there, so you had to deal with it the way it happened. So what was it that was in the mind? You don't want to go too far ahead of yourself, because if you do that, you probably will make a mistake, because either you are thinking about defeat or thinking about victory, which has not happened. And if you thought of one, if you are sure you are going to succeed, it may end up actually being a failure. Or if you think you have already failed, that means you're not going to try as much as you could have, and you may actually end up with a failure when it could have been different, when you could have succeeded if you tried everything you could. So here, this is the place where so many things happen. First of all, taking this place and occupying it and turning it into headquarters for the RPF and the RPA combined must have happened in 1992, I think, around April maybe, if I remember. What was that? Because the RPA was involved in the fighting along the border, and we hadn't taken much of the territory inside Rwanda. We were really surviving along the border between Rwanda and Uganda, where some of us had come from. And so the RPF, meaning the chairman, the commissioners, were not part of the fighting force. We are staying in different parts. In fact, we had the headquarters in Brussels, Belgium, but we also had another in Kampala, Uganda. That's where it all started. then sub-headquarters in different parts of the world. So when we took this place, we were able to bring the two closer together, or really together, the RPA and the RPF. And this became our headquarters after taking, because, you know, a little bit of history. When the war started, 1990, I was, before that, I was serving in the Ugandan army and so on and so forth. Most of us were, or a number of us. And when the war started, I was not anywhere near here. I was attending a military course in Kansas, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, Command and General Staff College. Yeah, but I had now to work my way back to be here with the rest. So when I came, I found chaos. Because the leader, the first leader of our struggle had been killed on the second day of the attack, Fred Rwigema. And so understandably, it was already a difficult situation. Then an organization loses a leader, and what follows is easy to understand. So when I came back in the first 2 weeks of October, I arrived back from the US and came and joined the others and tried to reorganize, and so that's when we reorganized and started fighting in a more organized manner because of that chaos I'm talking about that happened when we lost the leader who had led the struggle. So that's trying to cut things short so that it is not a too long a story, but so that's all the way from then. That chaos came, 90 passed, 91, and then 92 we found ourselves here, and what I was just narrating happened. And it happened after we had taken places around here. In fact, that was specifically after attacking Byumba, Gicumbi. Now we are going to have a meeting. There were government forces of that time, and there were also forces deployed here in different parts. So we planned and moved from the east, because we are more towards Nyagatare and in between. We are trying to survive. So we organized and attacked a number of government enemy positions around, including the one here, which happened after actually taking Byumba, then Gicumbi and different other parts. We did by bypassing their positions and actually attacked them from the back. We went through the enemy deployments, cut through, and those who were here didn't know we had attacked Byumba then. And the others in a place called Rukomo and other places, Bungwe, and I don't know whether they still bear those names. I haven't followed over it, but So then we took this place. Because our positions were now far ahead, so this was more or less protected. And that's why we had the headquarters. It was making it easy for us, because from here to the border, I think is about 30 kilometers maybe, something like that. So we would operate going forward and spread wherever we needed to. But at the same time, we had access to the border with Uganda, and that's how most of the time we used to get food and medical supplies and other things we needed. So it was easy, this position was easy to connect us with the world, but to connect us with the country, and enabled us to carry out the operations we had to carry out. So we grew from here quite fast, and yeah, so that is a number of things. It was coordinating from the east, but also that north now is when we were in Virunga. So it was like this. So here and used to coordinate. So what was in my mind when it came to the time, there came a time there were peace negotiations in Arusha, and then it failed. And I remember in 1993, was it 93, February 8th, I think, the Arusha peace negotiations failed, and because the government had started killing people in Kibirira, or started killing Bagogwe in those areas, and we told them we can't be here talking peace, and then they kill people again, so that means we are going to fight again. And so the negotiations failed in 92. It stopped because of that, and they resumed fighting. In fact, that's when we took now a much bigger territory than we even had when we resumed fighting. Later on, we spread, and so from 93 February, we had because of ceasefire and in peace negotiations, we got an opportunity and trained fighters, and they were ready for the next task, meaning when the ceasefire broke, then we resumed fighting. We took, you heard of, there used to be a demilitarized zone that you have heard about. When we fought, took a territory, then there was a global outcry, and everybody was descending on us, and they thought we were going to take Kigali, actually. But I don't think, much as we could easily have militarily, from the operational point of view, we would have easily taken Kigali, but I thought politically it would be a big mistake, and that's why I prevailed over. There was the urgency for people to say, well, let's finish the job. But I thought it wasn't going to, the job wasn't to get finished, because in a way we would be overstretched, and we are taking on something much bigger than we can handle, organizing the country. But still the forces they were being defeated here, but as the government was still established, they still had forces. I think we would have faced bigger problems than people thought. So, but when you were being told we must go back so that peace talks resume and continue, in the end we put a demand which we will not relinquish. We demanded that for the areas we have taken a big part of the country as a result of breaking the ceasefire by government and so on and so forth, we cannot return this area or these positions to the government. They've lost that, and they've lost it because of their own big mistake. So we compromised to make things simple for everybody. We actually gave in to some demands, but created a formula that would allow us to take it. We said, if we leave this place, it should be demilitarized, and maybe UN, or there was also at the time some African Union observers who were here, and said they should monitor this area. The government should stay where we pushed it to, and for us, we have no problem going back to our positions. And this area in between remains a demilitarized zone. But we had already registered a huge victory. We were able to connect with the people in the country to a great extent. It put pressure on the government because they really got a very bad beating, and they were now open to more serious discussion. And that's what. So everything was being coordinated now from here, from Murindi. So when it came the genocide, even before that, we used to monitor everything happening. We used to monitor militias being trained in there are hundreds of thousands in every district, as we have them now. And the plans would leak. We had people who would tell us, and we used to share it with the UN, the forces that were present here in the country, and we found actually they knew a lot about what the preparations were, by whom, where, and for what intention. They knew. When you hear people talk about genocide and as if it was something that just happened or happened because of Habyarimana's death or this and that, it's all rubbish. This happened way before. In fact, General Darel, the commander of the UN forces, used to come here many times. He would come by helicopter or by road many times. There are so many visitors who used to come here, even from outside of Rwanda, and we used to share this information. We used to discuss it. We would give them information you have, give them evidence, give them, and sometimes we would find they already know. So, yeah, there's a particular question you raised, what the feeling was when things were happening, including when genocide started. You know, it is hard to go back and tell people what you are thinking. Honestly, I don't even remember some of the things I was thinking. Things were happening so fast, and it was so stressful, and spent more time and energy trying to stabilize myself so that I don't collapse under the weight of everything. But focused on saying, first, if it is fighting, we must fight to win. If it is even politics, we must do the right thing politically, still make progress. And then when the genocide started, the immediate thing was to fight the people who were killing. Second, try and save as many people as we could, if it were possible, but same time collapsing the government that was responsible for that. While we had many people, there's not a person even here, I'm sure among you, there's not a person here who doesn't have a number of people who were killed that were known to them, were relatives, were parents, were children, were things like that. And by the way, it is because I've asked many times, you see, in a situation like ours, genocide is happening, there are perpetrators, there are victims. But overall, there is nobody who is not dying on either side. You are killing people in a genocide, you are therefore going for those you are targeting. But at the same time, those who are doing the killing of other people were also facing death because we had to fight them. So in the end, nobody, there's not a single person of the millions here in Rwanda who would say they gained from this. Everybody lost. Even those who started it and started killing people, they wanted to achieve something, but they didn't achieve it. Because what they intended to achieve was not just killing a few. They wanted to exterminate people. A certain group of people, they thought deserved that, or they wanted to kill. So it didn't happen because not everybody died. There is always going to be people who will remain alive. And so I think that's what else you want me to tell you?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Ask me anything, yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the context. Yes, I'm sure there's a lot of questions from the crowd, so I'll open it up to the floor. Please raise your hand if you have a question, and before you ask your question, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit of who you are, and then address your question. Try to be as concise as possible. Scovia?
Murakoze nyakubahwa perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Scovia Mutesi, ndi umwanditsi w'ikinyamakuru Mama urwa Gasabo.
I see you every day on the media, social media. On the social media, yeah.
Yeah. Murakoze, ikibazo cyanjye nashakaga kubaza, usobanuye byinshi bigaragara inzira yari ikomeye, ariko nagize ikibazo nifuza kubaza, ese musobanura mute impamvu mwari mufite ikomeye yumvaga ko mushobora gutsinda ubutegetsi bwa Habyarimana bwari bufite ingabo zikomeye ndetse bashyigikiwe n'amahanga, mu by'ukuri yumvikanaga nkakomeye. Nyuma yaho uyu mukanya tugeza aha General Kabarebe yadusobanuriye uko mwageraga mu Mutara, uko mwasanze bimeze ko byasaga nk'ibiteye ubwoba, impamvu ikomeye mwagize mukumva ko muri butsindira urugamba kugeza uyu munsi nyuma y'imyaka 30 mwicayeho. Ndabashimiye.
Ndakubwiza ukuri, ntabwo ari science ngo muri science nararebaga nkasanga turi butsinde, cyangwa ntabwo ari, it's not anything, ntabwo nta kintu cyari gihari twemezaga ko turi butsinde kirenze umutima wacu kuvuga ngo natsinda ntatsinda ngomba kurwanira ukuri kwanjye. Nicyo umuntu yashingiyeho, ibisigaye bikubakira aho ngaho. Ntabwo rero ntawari ufite icyizere ngo ibintu bigomba kugenda bityo, kuko na bimwe uko abantu babitekerezaga cyangwa babyifuzaga bigomba kugenda siko byagenze. Kuri bimwe hirya no hino, ariko ibyo mvuga byo kuvuga ngo twari ahantu uvuga uti bya bintu natangiriyeho ngira ngo wenda nabivuze mu cyongereza mbivuga mu kinyarwanda, aho uvuga uti ariko aho ndi ibindi imbere ngomba guhangana nabyo. Mfite uburyo bungana iki kugira ngo nkore kimwe cyangwa nkore ikindi, ariko ukaba ufite ibintu bibiri gusa, kuvuga ngo either ndabihunga nigendere nkiza amagara yanjye, kuko hari ababikoze barahunga barigendera babivamo, n'ubu barakiruka ntibaragaruka. Ibyo babikora. Ikindi ni ukuvuga ngo oya, ntabwo ndi bugenze ibyo narwaniraga n'ubundi ni ukuri kwanjye, ngomba kubikomeza ni nabizera mbizire. Ni ibintu bibiri rero, yewe urahunga cyangwa urasigara uhangane n'ikibazo. Ibi byo guhangana n'ikibazo byari mu bantu benshi, nicyo cyiza cyabyo, byari mu banyarwanda benshi, ntabwo bari bake. Abahunze ngira ngo nibo bake kurusha abasigaye bahanganye n'ibibazo. Muri uko guhangana rero n'ibibazo nyine ugomba gukoresha rero ubwenge, noneho gukoresha ubwenge. Ese uhangana n'ibibazo ute? Guhitamo inzira uhangana nabyo nayo noneho niho hazira gukoresha umutima n'ubwenge, bikaguha icyo gukora bitewe n'icyo ufite, n'icyo uzi ku mwanzi, n'uburyo bwo gukoresha kugira ngo utsinde ari urugamba rumwe hano cyangwa ahandi, cyangwa utsinde urugamba runini rwo kurangiza ikibazo cyose. Nta kindi cyizere, nta kintu cyari gihari cyaha umuntu uwo ari we wese. Yewe n'abatsinzwe banza batari bazi ko bazatsindwa, babaga bazi ko ni leta, bafite ibyangombwa byose, bumvaga bari aho. Twebwe bitaga inyenzi, bazatunyura hejuru gusa bakagenda. Natwe kubera aho twavaga nuko twari tumeze n'ubushobozi butari buhagije, twarabikoraga, ariko nta garanti, nta kintu cyakwemezaga ngo ibyo urwanira uzabigeraho. Ariko wagomba kurwana niwe, kuko nicyo wahisemo, kandi niyo inzira yari iri imbere yawe warebaga wakoresha gusa. So ntazagire ukubeshya ngo ibyo twita intsinzi ngo barayirebaga. Barayirwaniye bayigeraho, ariko kuba warayirebaga iza ibyo bizavugwa n'utari uhari.
Urakoze cyane. Yes, dufite ikindi kibazo, adufashe na microphone kuri Eric yashize ukuboko.